Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Code Black Facts. Thank you guys for tuning in. On this channel, we talk about all things black to include news and viral videos, mental health, self love, self care, self development, black women issues, crime stories, and black history. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please like the video. And of course, you can always you can always comment below. So today we are going to be talking about this article that I actually saw on Yahoo News. It's an article that was written by Essence, and it talks about how more women than ever are single, and it's going to change the economy forever. Now, of course, once I saw the article, I started to think, okay, why is it going to change the economy? And so I'm not going to bore you guys with reading the article word for word, but I am going to go over basically the main points of the article. Okay, so when you go into the article, it basically talks about how women are asserting their independence, and rightfully so, but it could cost them in the long run, according to a new report by Wells Fargo. And so when you look at the why, right, why it's women being single and why it's going to change the economy, they talk about how women are becoming more independent. So that's one reason. They talk about the independent single women spend less, right? And that's kind of obvious and logical because a single woman would basically have to be independent because she's not married. So pretty much she's, doing everything on her own. But on top of that, she only has her to take care of. So, where a married woman would be purchasing and buying things for the family, she also has an added income, or at least she's supposed to have an added income. And that's a whole nother story for another time, because there are many women who are married, and they are, the family is basically living on their income mostly. But that's a whole nother conversation. But as far as the single woman, she's only having to take care of herself. She doesn't have children. It's just her. And then the third reason they talked about was how, because more women are independent, it's changing how the economy operates. And that kind of goes into point number 4, because it talks about how the independence of women is affecting the labor market, the United States wealth, and spending. So basically, the independence of women is affecting capitalism. And you guys know, here in America, because the article referenced, American women are here in America. In this country, we are a capitalistic, structured nation. And so basically what that means is, capitalism is both economic and political. And so the independence of single women is affecting the structure. All right. And it goes on to say why basically single women spend less. All right. And also, where you, because they did compare single women to married women, and it talked about how married women, they have another income. So married women tend to go out and purchase things for the family. Married women tend to spend more money as it relates to that. However, when you compare single women to single men, it talked about how the difference between a single woman and a single man was literally $2,000. So I think single women were at 39,000. Generally, a single woman spends about 39,000, and this is single with no children. $39,000 on average a year. A single man spends about $41,000 on average a year. Now, let me say this. This is a general article. It did not break this up by race. I would assume that if we were to break this up by race, it would probably be different, because I can't speak about any other group of people, but I can speak about the black community here in America, because I'm a part of that community, and I am very interested in, how we fare as, as it relates to other groups of people. So I tend to be very receptive of information that I can, come across that will give me answers to some of the questions that I may have as it relates to the Black community. Now, it went on to say, which is the very last thing, was that single mothers don't spend enough money. And I think this is kind of like obvious because I mean, if you're a single mother, you have children to take care of. 9 times out of 10, um, the mother and the children are living mostly off of the single mother's income, and so obviously, a single woman without children would probably spend more um, into the economy than the single mother would. Now, some of the things that I feel like the article left out. Okay, so some of the other things that I believe was left out of the article that are contributing factors to why many women are single, and of course, I'm just naming four here. There are more than four, but I believe that these are some of the main four reasons. And so, one reason is the divorce rates. The article did not note that as a factor. But when it comes to why so many women are single, we do need to take heed to that because you do have a lot of women who get married, and then you have a lot of women who then get divorced. I believe the divorce rate, just in general, across all racial um, lines, is I think 50%. Another thing that was left out that was not talked about were the factors that are costing the economy millions and billions. And the reason why I bring this point up is because, again, they made a direct correlation between single women and how single women will change the economy, right? Meaning the money, right? Meaning capitalism. And so we have to note that, okay, if I read an article, not, I think it was last year, about how the unemployment of Black men is costing the economy $50 billion. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I know how things work. If something is costing the economy, they're going to try to figure out a way to make up for it. So they're going to tax us higher. They're going to try to figure out a way. And so thinking about that, it's like, okay, if they're making a direct correlation between single women in the economy, then in my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're trying to figure out a way to make up for that deficit within the economy. Another thing that I believe was left out was the fact that more men and women are actually opting out of marriage. More and more men and women are just deciding not to get married. Like, it's not even something that is even thought about for many men and women, or more men and women have been there, done that, and they don't want to do that again. And so that's a real thing as well. And then, of course, the last thing that I feel like was left out that is a major contributor is that it's not logical for single women to spend like married women. A single woman does not have a family. A single woman does not have children that she has to take care of. It's just her. So, if it's just her, she has to look out for just her. Now, when you paired single women with single men, generally speaking, okay, it was only like a $2,000 difference. So again, the fact that this article, I don't know, I read it and I was kind of like, okay, they got some good stuff here, but then I started to think that maybe they're putting a little bit too much pressure on the women of American society, and it's over a $2,000 difference. That doesn't, that don't sound right. To me, it's more. But let's continue. Okay, so some of the problems that I found with the article is that I feel like the article is putting the wealth issues of America on the backs of the women. It didn't say that directly, but that's kind of how it came off to me because again, when comparing the single women and giving reasons, it had everything to do with capitalism. Everything to do with capitalism. It said nothing about humanity and how, women should have more kids because we're going to go extinct. We always have that. It said nothing about that. It said nothing about any of it. Really it was more so capitalism. Single women are not basically not spending enough when compared enough into the economy when compared to women who are married. Also it left out other really important contributing factors out of the why more women are single. And I kind of named some of those before. So, that's kind of self explanatory. The third thing, too, was that it did not compare other life factors, right? So, other things that contribute to the single rates, right? And then the last thing is that, which we're going to go into the next few minutes talking about, is that America needs a labor force. I think that a lot of this has to do with, creating the next labor force. Because I just read an article, a Texas article, where it talked about giving tax cuts to married people that had at least 4 children. So basically, in order for you to get a tax cut, you would have to have gotten married, and you have to have 4 kids within that union. So it can't be a woman with 2 and then a man with 2 from a previous relationship, and then they come together and now they have 4 and then they get it doesn't work like that. You have to actually have 4 children, or you have to adopt 4 children within the marriage. And so that, again, if they're doing all of that to get women to have children, they're doing all of that to, get women and men to get married. To me, it's probably a lot more going on than what they're telling us. And this is where I got to put on my tinfoil hat, because like I said previously, I think that they're trying to make sure that there is an actual labor force, right? Most Americans are in the labor. We're out here in the labor force. Like, most Americans are not retired and sitting at home, just living well. That's not. Most Americans are out here working, and working literally up until they are no longer here. Like, you have people that are literally working into their 60s and 70s because they have to. Right? Most people are not retiring at 40 or 50 or even 60. Most people are working past 60. So, if you pair that with, okay, we need, a good healthy labor force, then you're going to have to convince the only people that can have the children, right, which are women. And I know there's an argument out there that trans women can have children. I have never seen that, but even if that was the case, it wouldn't be enough to keep the population up or keep the population going. You would actually need more genetically women, biological women, to have these children to get that workforce up. Because I think that in experimenting with trans women attempting to have children, you're going to have a lot of failed attempts, as opposed to a biological woman who could simply decide to have children. Of course, a healthy, a woman who can have children, able to have children. And so that's all I have, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I hope you learned something. Go ahead and leave your thoughts down in the comment section. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I do invite you to subscribe. And then, of course, to all the subscribers who have come back, thank you for coming back. And again, you guys take care. Bye.